So I've owned my car for about 2.5 weeks, and I was making a list that I called WRX nitpick. So that means these are things that I'm just overly critical of about the car, things that I've noticed in the last 2 weeks. So the very first thing I noticed when I picked up my car from the dealer was the speaker grill didn't sit correctly in the dash. And here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so that's the first thing, was just that the speaker grill didn't fit in the dash, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make it sit, but it just keeps popping out, and so I think it just might be one of those inevitable things that I just have to live with. Second thing is the daytime running lights. I just wish there was a way to keep them off, because what I would rather do would be driving with the neat little C LED lights, and I think that looks a lot cooler. But, you know, I guess that's something livable, and I've seen people do it where they unplug this thing, but, you know, they unplug something underneath in the engine bay, like they basically just disconnect the daytime running light relay or something. But I don't want to do that, because that sounds like you are disabling some kind of functionality that your car came with from the factory. Number 3 is that I think the gas gauge gets a little bit lost in the cluster display. It doesn't really stand out. It's just one of those things where it'll just occur to me that I haven't checked the gas gauge in a while. So, and then that's when I go look for it. So I just wish it stood out a little more. And again, that might be something that I just have to get used to with this car, but I just feel like the gas gauge gets a little bit lost in the entire cluster display. I think the volume knob is a little slippery. You can adjust the volume from the steering wheel, but like this. I mean, yeah, you can do it. You just have to squeeze a little harder. I'm just used to it. I'm just used to the knobs, my fingers being able to grip the knobs. So maybe my fingers are just really greasy or dry, or I just have such soft, smooth, silky hands. There's nowhere to put loose change. In all my other cars, they've had ashtrays, and I usually put loose change in the ashtrays, but in this car, there's nothing. If you want an ashtray, you buy this cup holder ashtray thing, and it goes there, but you're taking away one of your cup holders. And I guess you could put it down on the cup holder in the door, but that's not what I want. My workaround for not having an ashtray was to get this little coin purse that I got from my kids, and I just keep it here in the center console. Roof racks. Initially, I wanted to get an Impreza Sport because it came with the roof rails where I could put my Yakima roof racks. And this car doesn't even have the factory mounting points for the roof racks in the rain gutters. I'm using Yakima Q towers, and they have these Q clips which clip to the side of the door frame, which I'll show you right now. Not a huge fan of that, but you know, I guess that's what it is. I feel like it deteriorates the weather stripping on the doors faster because it puts a kink in it, and I think it scratches the paint. So what I did is I used like clear vinyl on the spots where the metal would touch the paint to help protect the paint. Floor mats and sunshade. And what I mean by that was when I purchased my vehicle, part of the package included all-weather floor mats and the Subaru sunshade, which those are both like $60 a piece from the dealer if you buy them separately. I didn't necessarily want either of those things, and instead I would have opted to get different accessories. The sunshade was huge. I mean, you can't, first off, I already have 2 extra sunshades, and they fold up nice and neatly, and I can keep it in the back, in the pocket behind the back seat. The Subaru sunshade was huge. It was like this big cardboard accordion thing, and the only place you could keep it was in the trunk. So, you know, I'm not gonna go to the trunk every time I need the sunshade. The all-weather floor mats are just ugly, and you know, I live in Southern California, and we don't, you know, step on mud and stuff. I could see it if you lived in, you know, someplace where it rains a lot, where you don't want to get your carpets dirty, but, you know, being in Southern California, we get about 2 weeks of rain, and so I just vacuum the carpet floor mats. I ended up selling those 2 things on eBay, which went towards the purchase of other accessories that I liked, such as the rear bumper applique and the door sills things. In my list, I have Bluetooth resume written, and I think that means that sometimes the Bluetooth doesn't always start playing immediately. Sometimes I have to unlock my phone and hit the play button directly from my phone. I'm not sure if that's a car issue or just a Bluetooth issue or an Android issue or a phone issue or a technology issue. Low-end torque. Yeah, not sure what I could do about that unless I had a V8. Again, I'm coming from a BMW M5 that had torque for days, so yeah, I just have to get used to it. And the very last issue I have is not really an issue with the car, it's more of an issue with me, and that is my own insecurity. So let me explain. So I am 43 years old. I live in a suburb, and I suffer from this thing called keeping up with the Joneses. It's where you try to keep up with all your neighbors and all that stuff. So being a 43-year-old professional, for some reason I feel like you need to be always driving a more expensive vehicle. This WRX is definitely not a luxury car. I mean, there's some road noise, there's some rattles. It seems like it seems to be marketed towards a younger customer base. So I feel like maybe this car doesn't have the status of a luxury car. But you know what, I really like it. I like this car a lot. I think it's perfect. It satisfies everything that I need. I'm hoping it's going to be a little more practical, gets better gas mileage. And I am hoping that it's not going to have as big of repair bills as a luxury car. So having said all that, here's what I think. F all that. Just stop worrying about what other people think and do your thing. So let's recap about all my nitpicking things that I have about this car. Daytime running lights, speaker grill, the gas gauge gets lost, slippery volume button, there's nowhere to put loose change, roof racks, floor mats and sunshade, the Bluetooth resume, some low-end torque, and my own insecurities. But other than that, I think this car's pretty dang sweet. It's fun to drive. It does what I need. I really like this car. I'm glad I bought it. That's pretty much about it. There's a cop in front of me. Can you hear the V1? Oh, right there. Hi there.